We're back with week two of the college football season. Week one has come and gone. Just to kind of review my picks from last week, two kind of bad beats. The one game I had posted a video on for Georgia and Oregon, I had the over, and it was at 52. I got it at 54. Unfortunately, it did not hit, but that's because Oregon was at the 2 yard line, fourth and goal at the end of the game. And I mean, they could have kicked a field goal, but I don't blame them. They were down 46 points at that point, go for the touchdown. But there's a wide open receiver in the end zone. Bo Nix overthrew him. So, that was a touchdown away from hitting. And then I also had Ohio State minus want to say 16 and a half against Notre Dame. I took Ohio State's spread. Like I said I would in the video, they won by 14 or so. It was a two-score game, but Notre Dame decided to punt down two scores with no timeouts left, with just under 3 minutes left at the end of the game, rather than go for it on a fourth and long. If they go for it there, Ohio State more than likely scores a touchdown because they would have had the ball inside their own inside the 10 or the 15-yard line. Either way, they would have scored, both would have hit. So both bets kind of came down to the last possession. Things just didn't bounce my way. So hopefully we can bounce back this week and win some of our bets, if not all of our bets. But it's a little bit different video than the ones last week. Last week were individual game videos. This one is going to be more of a weekly thing going forward, where I'm going to kind of go over the slate for this week, and title of the video is Power Plays. So I'm going to be looking at the Power Five conferences, the games within those conferences and teams in those conferences, and take a look at what I like. So for this week, I've got four games highlighted. I'm going to make five picks for those four games. My first pick is going to be for the Alabama game. Alabama is at Texas. Bama is currently favored by 20. My pick's going to be Alabama with the spread. Alabama minus 20 is my pick. That's what I got it at. I don't know. I just think Alabama's got a ton of experience. They always have NFL talent every single year. Texas has NFL talent as well. Not to say they don't. But I mean, Bryce Young's experience, won the Heisman last year, arguably the best quarterback in the nation. CJ Stroud's kind of the only one that's up for debate in that category. But yeah, I just think they have a ton of experience. They're Alabama. They're by far the best team in the country after watching Week One. I think Georgia is the second closest, but we'll wait and see who Georgia ends up playing the rest of the year and how they do. I think it's safe to say Alabama's number one right now. But to be fair to Texas, they're at home. They're going to be an SEC school in the next couple of years here, along with Oklahoma. So it may feel like they need to make a statement against an SEC opponent. So they kind of have some motivation to come out and bring the firepower against Alabama. However, Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback for Texas. He got his first college action last week in their win, but this is going to be the first time Quinn Ewers is kind of put in the spotlight in the bright lights. They're going to be on national television. He's going up against the number one team in the nation, so he may come out and ball out and play a really good game, and Texas can keep it close. Um, Personally, I don't think so. I think Alabama's going to be a lot for him. I think Saban is going to have a game plan for the young QB, kind of throw his mind through a loop, and I think he's going to struggle. So I'm going to take Alabama minus 20. Then moving on to the second game of the weekend that I'm taking a look at, it's South Carolina at Arkansas. Arkansas and South Carolina are both coming off wins. Arkansas beat Cincinnati. South Carolina, I think, beat like Southeast Missouri or something like that. But nonetheless, it's an SEC game. It's gonna be a battle. Personally, I'm not picking a side. My pick's gonna be the over in this game. I got it at 53, so over 53 is my pick. South Carolina struggled in their Week One game. I take that back. It was not Southeast Missouri. It was Georgia State. I have here in my notes, but they gave up 200 rushing yards to Georgia State in Week One. I know Georgia State loves to run the ball. I think they average about 40 rushing attempts per game and only throw the ball maybe 15 to 20 times a game. So they're predominantly a rushing team, so they're pretty good at it. But I mean, they're not an SEC team. They're not an SEC caliber opponent. So I think that just shows that South Carolina kind of is going to struggle to defend the run this season. And Arkansas runs the ball very well. They've got a solid running back, and KJ Jefferson is dual threat quarterback, and I think the quarterback running game is going to give them a bit of a problem this week. Um, However, Arkansas also struggled to defend the pass against Cincy last week. I think they gave up over 300 yards. It's right around 325 yards of passing yards against Cincinnati. And again, Cincy, quarterback wasn't super experienced, replacing Ritter from last year. But, again, Cincinnati's not an SEC caliber team. Arkansas struggled a little bit defensively to defend the pass. And South Carolina's got Spencer Rattler, who's shown that he's capable of throwing the ball and playing well. In a Power 5 conference, he's been playing in Oklahoma the last couple of years, but he's in the SEC now, and he didn't look great in Week 1, but he didn't look terrible. Overall, I think offensively, both teams are going to be able to put up points. Defensively, I think those teams will exploit their weaknesses. So that's why I like the over. I mean, 53 points isn't a ton. 27-26 pushes it. I think this game will be 31-28, 35-31, something in that area. I think both teams are going to score quite a bit, so I'm going to go with the over for the South Carolina Arkansas. The third game I'm going to take a look at for this week's slate is Southern Miss at Miami. Now, if you watched the Miami game last week, Miami looked pretty dang good. Again, they didn't play anyone really of note. Is Bethune-Cookman, and they scored 70 points on them. The final was 70-13. So they had 586 yards of total offense, 200 of 81 came in the air, 305 on the ground. Um, Southern Miss is, I said it for the SEC teams, but they're not a Power 5 school, right? Southern Miss, not an ACC school. They're a Group of 5. They're an inferior opponent to Miami, so Miami shouldn't have any problem coming in here and taking care of business. And it's also pretty clear after their 70-point throttling of Bethune-Cookman that when they get up big, they're not afraid to take their foot off the gas. They're going to keep scoring and they're going to keep doing what they do. So I think it'll be something similar this week. Maybe not to that extent, but it should be similar. Southern Miss does run the ball well. Their running backs Frank Gore Jr. They had 252 rushing yards last week. However, they also struggle to stop the run, so they run it well, struggle to stop the run. Not a thing you see a lot. Normally, a good rushing team's able to stop the run, but again, it's Southern Miss, so you can't really expect much. Um, Miami had 305 rushing yards last week. I expect them to try and continue to run the ball against Southern Miss after their struggles last week. Again, I think Miami defensively played really well last week. Not against anyone important, but they did look decent. So they should be able to contain Southern Miss. Um, I think the score is going to look something like 56-10, maybe 56-7. Honestly, I think Miami covers this by themselves because I'm going to go with the over of 51. Personally, think Miami's going to score over 50 points themselves. So that's going to be my pick, over 51. Then the last game on the docket for Week 2 is going to be Iowa State at Iowa, the lone rivalry game, I think, for this week. I didn't think I saw any other rivalry games. I mean, it's a rivalry game, so both teams have some motivation. They're playing for bragging rights in the state of Iowa. Neither team looked great last week. Iowa State didn't look terrible. They didn't really play anyone that was relevant, so you can't really put much into that. I kind of expect Iowa to play really well defensively. Again, last week couldn't have they would have played maybe 0 offensive snaps and won the game, right? Their defensive scored 2 safeties, so without their offense, they would have won 4-3. I expect some of that. I mean, I think they're going to lock down Iowa State. They've got a new quarterback, running back, and tight end last year. I mean, Brees Hall's with the Jets. Charlie Kolar got drafted, and Brock Purdy is also in the NFL. I'm not sure which teams those last 2 guys are with, but I know for sure Brees Hall is with the Jets. So it's an entirely new backfield. Favorite tight end target's gone, so it'll be interesting to see how Iowa State offensively performs against a legit defense in Iowa. However, Iowa's offense struggled last week against South Dakota, so don't really expect much from them. However, this is a rivalry game. It is 2 Power 5 schools. So I think Iowa might open up the playbook a little bit more. I think they may have expected to, just run the ball down South Dakota's throat last week, and that didn't really exactly happen. So maybe they open up the playbook a little bit more, get a little more offense into this game. But either way, I like the under 40.5 is what I got it at. So I think this is going to be a field goal game. It's going to be a field position battle. Iowa's going to run the ball. Iowa State's going to try to run the ball and probably fail because Iowa's front seven is pretty damn impressive. So they'll be throwing the ball here and there, but I expect it to be a time of possession game, a field goal game. Again, if teams are settling for field goals a lot, 40 points is going to be a lot to manage. And then my other pick for this game is going to be Iowa money line. Iowa's at home. They have the better defense. The only disadvantage they have offensively is their quarterback. I don't think Spencer Petras is worthy of being a Power Five conference quarterback, but I mean maybe he proves me wrong this season or this game. Either way, I think Iowa is just the better team. Iowa State's very inexperienced, got a lot of guys offensively that haven't played in this game before. Haven't seen an Iowa defense up close and personal, so I'm gonna be rocking Iowa money line. So my two picks for that game are the under and Iowa money line. So those are my picks for this week's slate. I am a Michigan fan, so if I take a look at the Michigan game after watching them last week, Hawaii is absolutely dreadful, and Michigan's favored by 51. I'm not picking it. I'm not including it in my picks, or, personally, I'm not going to pick it off the record. But if I were to give a lean one way, I'd take Michigan spread minus 51. I think Michigan could score close to 100 points on this team. And I think Hawaii offensively is going to struggle with Michigan's defense. But nonetheless, um, those are my picks for this week. Again, you can expect next week kind of a review, recap of how the games went. And then later in the week, typically on a Thursday, is when I'll try to get these kind of videos out. You can expect more picks for next week's slate. But yep, those are my picks for this week, and then you can expect more videos coming out this weekend as we get into the first week of the NFL slate of my previews of those games. But until then, see you guys later.